Get ready for an uplifting experience with Coached Soul. Join us as we bring you the dynamic duo of Steve Hudgens, a licensed professional counselor, and Kenya Evelyn, a transformational leadership coach. Together, they'll guide you through engaging episodes filled with valuable insights and actionable tips on mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Coached Soul is your go-to podcast for empowering discussions that will help you thrive. So let's get started and welcome our hosts, Steve and Kenya.
Welcome back to part 3 of Parental Alienation. Yes. The reason I wanted to open this up is because I really want to acknowledge your listeners, and I want to acknowledge you because when I look at you during this series of Parental Alienation, I'm really proud of you, Steve. And I'm really proud that I see how you are going through a deeper layer of healing, allowing yourself to be so vulnerable to our audience and connect with them where they are. This can absolutely alter the DNA of the next generation.
Sure.
Just knowing that we are here not just as mental health professionals, but people of light that want to lead the way with authenticity, vulnerability, no pretentious. Every time that we bring a topic here for you guys is because personally, I feel that God is calling me to work through a different level. You know, our DNA holds 14 generations. So maybe I have not been emotionally raped, but my mother and grandmother and great-grandmothers, it's in my field. So we can always relate to any human behavior. This is why the duality of good and bad is really not a great name for it, but everybody feels it.
Yes.
Okay. So when we finished recording part 2, you were saying something off mic, and I want you to repeat that you want to bring hope to our listeners because the nucleus of a family, when it is broken, please carry on.
So one of the things that, we kind of left off a little bit about some of the disparity that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you're going through parental alienation syndrome, what is so scary is that you have trained teachers and social workers and the family court judge that they're not aware. And what happens is that the child will talk with the judge in a language and syntax similar, if not identical, to the way the alienating parent talks. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine. She says that she didn't answer the phone in time. And her daughter was with her father, and the daughter was talking to her and says, "Mom, you're an for not picking up that phone when I first called."
What?
A 3-year-old, sorry for the bleep bleep, I may have to bleep that, but that 3-year-old called her mother that. And that is a parenting
She
word.
heard us somewhere.
Correct. That's what parental alienation syndrome can do, is that it parrots and mimics that parent. Those who are alienating may not know it. Because if you're talking to your significant other, okay, about that child's other bio parent in front or out of, you think it's out of earshot or on a phone call, these kids are sponges.
100%. Well,
And
you also are ingraining
yes,
the unworthiness of your humanness, because we are one.
right.
Okay, so if I go and I speak bad about my mother or my sister or my husband, well, I'm really fleshing out a human behavior that I have too. We all have it. That's the thing. There's no separation. So be aware of our words, right? And when we do this, when a child start talking like that, she probably does. There's no 3-year-old that knows the meaning of that. It's a learned behavior. Everything is a learned behavior.
Right. And
So
that's we have to be careful in what we do because our kids are watching and observing. They feel the energy and the attention that's there. It's like when I get around horses, oh, I love horses, but their frequency that they put out is like 8,000 hertz, higher than a human being. So it brings us up into our lifted spirits when I'm around a horse. And
mhm.
so, you know, that's a whole different topic that I would like for you to discuss one day about these
Oh my
hertz,
gosh, yes.
a whole new
There's
podcast.
some, yes, yes. And there is a lot of therapy, horse therapy, because
Yes,
of that. Just being
equine
around,
therapy.
mhm, just being around horses just makes our human anxiety, man anxiety, because anxiety is nothing more than worry about the future,
Well, and
which really is looking at the past,
right.
looking at all the stuff we went to, all that pain, and the fear to relive that pain. What if this keep happening to me? What if I marry the wrong person again? What if I lose my job? What if blah 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 blah? So it's looking at the past as evidence and copying and paste as a fear to repeat it that. So let's go back. Let's stay in the lane here.
Sure.
Let's stay in the
Yeah.
lane.
Well,
I
and being a father was challenging in the court system
I'm so
because a lot of
sorry.
court systems think that, well, mom's got the time. Well, wait a minute. In our society, moms are working too. Both parents are working.
So may I please pick it up? Because
Yeah.
the first thing that came to me with this parental alienation, as I am on my own, just looking at those YouTube videos and looking at the answers, is it feels very much like an agenda. Okay.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
might sound a little conspiracy. I'm just reframe here. This is just my intuition speaking. My intuition speaking is that there is a frequency out there that in order to take control of society, we break the structures of security and certainty, which is the family, the nucleus of the family. If you can take mommy and daddy out of home, guess what? If you make things very expensive to buy, then mom needs to work and dad needs to work. So mom is no longer nurturing the kids or taking care of the house. Dad is working around the clock, maybe 2 jobs or 3 jobs, and the kids are on TV or full time on school or both or video gaming or unattended or with a babysitter that will put them doing whatever. They are not with the influence of the magnificent, nurturing love connection of mom and dad. That's just facts. That's just
Well,
facts.
in part of this parental alienation syndrome, is the fact of child support. Okay, it's multifaceted. I'm not saying there shouldn't be. Okay, but there's two instances. I've worked with someone who was alienated and had resentment towards his father
Mm,
because father, when he went to go visit, had a TV sit on a milk crate, not much furniture, and he blamed his father for not providing when actuality it was mom taking all the money.
wow.
The other
Well,
flip
here's
side
but
is
here's the thing also,
yeah,
the whole money situation. Even if everything is great, father is giving to the kids
right.
$10,000 a month and the house is great. There is no money in the world that would create a fair trade to not have a parent in the house. I'm going to repeat that. I remember choosing my husband because I saw the way he treated his old dog. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to be an amazing father. And he is an amazing father. I didn't have a father. So that was actually a deal for me.
Right.
I want my children to experience that kind of nurturing from a male's voice, from a male's perspective. Hey, I'll be there for you. I'll be in your baseball game. I'll be so I want this podcast to be Steve, the hope that we're giving to our listeners. So let's migrate to
Sure.
that. We already acknowledge you. We see you. I'm so sorry you went through that. It is not okay. Now what?
So the hope is I'm trying to explain to people who have been alienated not to give up. Okay. So fast forward. I was going through a lot of disparity, the cancer that I was having and other things that was happening to me that, my daughter did not invite me to her wedding. And that is cause of an alienation there that hurts.
Okay, so let's reframe that for the
But
listeners. The things that was happening for you, not to you.
there you
And
go.
and I experienced not being invited to my daughter's wedding, right?
Correct.
Speaking first person. There we go.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to correct you, Steve. It's just because Steve's taking control of his life in every level, and I want you to copy Steve. Nobody did anything to you. Now you're in the control of your decisions, of your being. So
Yeah.
please go ahead.
No, I appreciate that because a lot of times I want to for us to kind of role model unhealthy
Exactly.
thinking or hurtful thinking. And how do
Yes.
we change that? And so when you think about, here's this experience, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you know what? I'm not going to stop loving my daughter.
There we go.
I went on Amazon and bought 3 expensive wedding gifts and had it sent to her
Mm.
and saying, I love you. Now, a simple text here and there, or I was sent a Christmas card. Sometimes I didn't get anything back. It took 3 years. And when I found out that I had my first grandchild coming,
Oh.
I sent baby gifts. Finally, without me, I approached it in carefulness. And here's the hope. Don't give up. Just because the other parent is trying to alienate, don't give up hope that your children are going to give up on you. They may
That's right.
have because of the story that's interwoven in their own hurts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say probably a year after he was born,
Mm.
I received my first Christmas card from her. The following year, I was invited and I went down for Thanksgiving. First time I have seen her in, let's see, she was 16, 9, 10, in 9 years. I have
Wow.
not seen her.
Wow.
So when I went down,
Mm.
she opened the door, and the very first thing I did was, I love you. It's so
Oh.
great to see you. And I gave her a hug,
Mm.
played with my grandson. I acted as if nothing happened in our relationship. When I started out leaving the hospital that I was working for as a director, I went into private practice. I asked her, would you be willing to work and do my billing for me? And she did. And I said, I don't want to pressure you. I just want to know for the sanctity of just knowing. And I want you to be honest with me. Was I that bad of a father? And here's that hope.
Mm-hmm.
No, Dad, you weren't. It was just my teenage things that I did that I wasn't aware of. You were the only parent that was very interactive between me and my brother. And that gave me the hope and closure that I
There we go.
needed, that helped me to heal and wound because I did not give up on my children.
Mm.
And so, I love both of my kids. And, parental alienation is very extremely hurtful, but I'm not allowing it to define who I am. I became a therapist because I wanted to help other people. And this story, I hope, can encourage other people. You may feel like, oh my gosh, my kids are hurting me, da 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 da. My ex is doing this, da 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 da. You know, okay, rise
So Steve,
above it.
Steve, what I hear you saying to our listeners, first of all, thank you so much. I acknowledge you big. I see your vulnerability and I am touched by the veracity of your feelings and your words. And you having the courage to show your heart in public. I know the many are resonating with the hope that you keep believing the truth will light up and will be seen. And that is the only way that lies cannot be the reality of the future, because it
Right.
can't. At some point, it will be brought to light. So I love that. Thank you for that. I want our listeners to know that I don't know how long is it going to take. If you have not experienced this bridge, the overcoming, the homecoming, if you haven't, I don't know how long is it going to take, but you have control of how you feel inside.
Right.
And in the last podcast we ended, and I was telling you that maybe you would be courageous enough to step into a different kind of prayer, a very connected prayer, sending those spiritual gifts of connection, of gratitude, of knowing that somehow God did not abandon you. You're not alone in the universe. If it wasn't for Stephen Spain, this podcast would not existed. True story. This is called Coach It So. He would not have had the desire to do it. He had not had the desire to invite me. You would not be hearing this conversation. So my question for you is, what if truly every dot in your story is for your personal greater good? What if? And I'm speaking prophetic now. I see books coming out of your life. If you're listening to me now, I see songs being written. I see poetry being written. I see nonprofit being birthed. I see connections being birthed out of your pain. Because you have such a story of overcoming. There is no way that your story is just to cause more negativity and let the other side win. It's not it. It's a story of a nudge in your back, like, ooh, what are you going to do about that? How are you going to be? Is it really truth? How are you going to allow other people, allow yourself to be in community? Here's a nudge. When I was coming out of religion, another podcast, but I'm just giving you a hint. I spent 10 years detached from any denomination.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was in pain. Yes, I was. I experienced spiritual abuse, and it doesn't matter the conversation right now. But I was able to honor myself and say, where do you go to church? I would say, I just don't go to church, but I love God, and my thing is God. I'm one with God. That's what I would say. I'm just one with God. I'm in spiritual detox. Thank you for asking. I'm in spiritual detox. Thank you for. So maybe you're in relationship detox. Thank you for asking. You're not trusting anyone. You're in pain. I don't know where you are, but please know that in community, you are better.
Right.
Do not isolate yourself. And you're like, ooh, too late, Kenny. I'm already isolated. Then unisolate. Because there's a big difference between being alone in stillness and listening to God and journaling and doing the work, and feeling unworthy, isolated, depressed, alone. And please don't. That is a path of darkness.
It's easy to get sucked into that
So easy.
negativity to stay there. Because I remember having, Thanksgiving by myself
100%.
because I was in my disparity of this. But I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I've got tons. I've got a nice home, and so I invited a lot of friends. We had a friends Thanksgiving for those who didn't have families. I wanted to do that with them. Yeah, I could. I was
Beautiful.
invited to a family's home and things like that. But I told her, I said, I love you and thank you for, you know. I'm talking to my aunt who's become my adopted mom, so to speak, and I chose to help other people to know that you're not alone. There are support groups out there for parental alienation. Canada has in their court system. United States, there's 48 states that recognize parental
Wow.
alienation syndrome. My
I also
story,
want to invite them to comment
yes.
so we know you by name, so we can create a community in Coach It So where we, you know what, I know you by name. We'll connect. We'll keep connecting with you guys and see if we even create, if there's a demand to create a community or a course or something, a workshop to come together. Let's see what, if this resonate, let us know
You know,
what,
the the
how we can support you.
the hope stems internally. And I found the secret to life. The secret to life is if I embrace the emotion that I'm in, no
Mhm.
matter how difficult or wonderful that emotion may be, if I embrace it, remain calm about it, and just walk through the moment, I can get through on the other side. And I've been to the low lows and now I'm on the high of highs. And
Mhm.
it's just a great feeling of, here I am as a published author, a podcaster, a private practice, fixing to be a doctor, being able to be a professor teaching at a university. If I did not move and shift my energy to believe in lies, I wouldn't be in my
You would
prosperity.
still, yeah, you would still see your reflection through the eyes of the rejection.
Correct.
So I want you, listener, to look at this as you witness us today, and we want to witness you. And I want you to imagine a diamond, right? I have here a little diamond. One facet is rejection. I was rejected. You're pushed out. Correct. And that triggered all the wounds of the
Right.
time that you were betrayed, pushed out, rejected. Another facet of that is that you're called to show up even brighter and to really find out the gift in this. The other facet is to stay in pain.
Right.
It is choice. And it's also, I also want to acknowledge when I say that some people might know logically in their mind that I know I want to get out, but their legs might be so wobbly. They might be in this flight or freeze mode. And for you, I'm going to say, embrace the images that is coming in right now in this experience. And I dare to say that those images are childhood trauma. Do not push them away, embrace them. I love the word you use, Steve, about embracing the emotion. Another word that I would use would be accepting.
Right.
But it's a harder word, isn't it? When I say accept, I don't want to accept this. This is wrong. It's like, okay, got it. So embrace,
It
lean
is
in,
about embracing and
lean
just
in.
being able to shift that mindset. And one of the things that I've learned that you cannot grow without some kind of uh weight,
Pressure,
pressure, right?
squeeziness, crunchiness. Yes.
Now I got that song going in my head, Under Pressure. So
Under pressure.
right. So it's being able to recognize, okay, that I've been to the low of the lows,
Yes.
but to shift to look in the value of who I am
Mhm,
is important. And what reminded me of who I am was getting into
mhm.
the word and knowing that I was created wonderfully. I'm a human, I make mistakes, but I'm a human that overcomes,
And you're also a
develops,
human that is created in God's image. So it's
evolving.
not like, yeah,
Yes.
it's not like you say, I'm just a human. No, because you're a human, you are the prior Jew creation. You are the creator, co-creating with God. Mm, My my heart is just itching to tell you this, dear listeners. Maybe you're hearing us and you feel like, I don't know how to shift. And when you say that, what I hear you saying is you have so many rules of what shifting looks like. Maybe shifting will be get up and just build an amazing life. But your energetics is still in contraction. You're still, whatever way you are, let the shift be as simple as deciding. It's like, okay, I'm surrendering the how. I don't know how, but I decide. I allow myself to be happy. I allow myself to receive a beautiful relationship whenever I'm ready. I allow myself to dream into having my kids in my arms again. So maybe that is even the shift, to see that image in your head. Or maybe if you are farther ahead, you can actually take action, take an aligned action towards the result. Wherever you're at, drop the rules of what would it look like, this shift, and decide that you're worthy of it.
And part of it is learning how to
Because
fight
you
your
are.
battles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you battling against yourself? Are you battling against the lie? How are you battling? I mean, I could have seen my daughter and got into why, coulda, woulda, shoulda, shoulda, but what would have that done to the relationship in that moment? It would have hurt
Sure,
it more.
sure.
I didn't need the closure because I know who I am as a father. I know who I am, that I'm proud of my children who be in, my son owns his own company. My daughter shifted out of the medical billing into working on a fast track master's degree in teaching. So they're very productive, and I'm very proud that I was able to be a part of that. Even though they may or may not recognize it, it does not matter. What matters to me is the hope. If I allow to myself to embrace the hope, to move out of the negative. And I want to encourage, as we close, I want to
Yes,
encourage our listeners that it may seem bleak,
that's right.
but that's where you grab a person like Kenya, a person who is a therapist, a person in a group, and you just lay it out. If you have toxicity, be careful about sharing that with your family members, friends, because they can taint the pool and
Yeah.
cause more hurt.
And please take notice of the voices in your head,
Yes,
okay? Because if you hear Steve talking, he's telling you how he felt in the tail end of it. But I'm pretty sure that throughout the line, there were days you were in a dark spot that all you could do is drink your water. So be
right.
kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Just know that nobody, no one can cover truth. No one. You love your children. If you went through this, just know that they will come to you at some point. But you can always come to them in imagination, in prayer, in heart, and in the energetics. You can always be there and love on them and love yourself and be in worthiness and create out of desire. And just know that I see you that way. We see you that way. If you allow yourself to see yourself that way.
And when you shift the focus, you train your mind what to see. And in my life, I choose to see that, as I wrote in my book, the journey, not the destination. I'm thankful to have a glass, whether it be half full or half empty. I'm just thankful for a glass that I can have something poured into.
If you need evidence of what he just said, of what Steve just said, so if you need to create evidence in your body, I invite you to do a quick exercise. So you show yourself that you have shifted. If you're right-handed, while you're brushing your teeth, now you're going to brush your teeth with the left hand. And as you're brushing your teeth with your left hand, you said, you see, I'm worthy. I got this. This is a new day. This is a new me. Your brain's like, what's happening? What's happening? So what you're doing literally, it's like, is that it? It's like, well, what you're doing is you're tricking your brain into a new reality.
Correct.
Something shifted. Do that every day for 30 days. Every time you brush your teeth, if you usually use the left, now you're going to use the right. And you're going to speak kind to yourself. You're going to speak the truth that you would like other people to say to you. Your partner, your kids, yourself. Because I guarantee that what really make us down, the voices in our head that we keep telling ourselves that we are not. So if you're driving, just say, I agree. Are you entering an agreement with me that for the next 30 days, this is not a 7-day deal. This is a rewiring. Break the pattern. Start by brushing your teeth, the opposite hand, and speak life to yourself. I love you so much. I believe in you. We believe in you. Right, Steve? We're here for you.
And we appreciate you listening and commenting and following us, because we are living life. We're not perfect.
No.
May not have all the answers.
We have our things.
You know what? I'm proud that we can be here. Until next time, take care.
I love you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Coached Soul, where we aim to empower and uplift you on your journey towards personal growth and well-being. Remember, as you navigate through life, you don't have to do it alone. We encourage you to reach out to professionals, seek support from loved ones, and take the time to prioritize your own well-being. Stay tuned for future episodes filled with even more valuable insights and actionable tips. Remember, you have the power to thrive. And with Coach It Soul by your side, anything is possible. Until next time, take care, stay empowered, and keep shining your brightest light. For more information, contact Kenya at kenyacoachedsoul.com.